this is the presentation for our Bachelor's in Biotechnology and part of the talks for the School of Biotechnology. So I myself am a third year student here in DCU, so I'm currently on my intra placement. I'm working with MSD out in Swords. I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about that when we get down to the intra section of the slides. If anyone has any questions, please pop them into the chat. I won't be able to see them till the end just because I'm sharing my screen, but just so everyone knows, I'm not ignoring them. So to start, just a little bit about DCU and why you might want to consider going here. So our biggest takeaway is DCU was ranked first in Ireland for graduate employability rates back in 2020. As you can see, there's a couple of other different stats that we have throughout the years. Graduate employability is obviously a big one for a lot of people you want to be working at after college. One thing that DCU has that really stands out is our intro program, which allows you to gain hands-on experience in the industry you'll be working on while you're still in college. So when you go out into the workforce, you have that competitive edge in interviews. DC also has a lot of connections with some of the big industries, in particular in the biopharma department. I know where I'm working at the moment, there's 9 interns and only one of them isn't from DCU. So it's a pretty good sign if industry is kind of the thing that you want to be doing after college. This is just kind of one of the nice little features we have here in DCU is our microbial bioprocessing plant. It is a full benchtop to pilot scale bioprocessing plant that has bioreactors, brewing systems, online advanced monitoring tools, justice separation systems, and advanced chromatography systems. So this is designed to kind of emulate what it'll look like while you're out in industry, but on a much smaller scale. So you can see that the bioreactors here are 1.5 liters or up to 130 liters. And the ones that I've seen out in the place I'm working go up to 1500 liters. So a bit of a difference. You can see here is the kind of smaller 1.5 liter bioreactor. So you'd probably need like 2 rooms the size of the room this one's in to store some of the ones you see out in industry. And just for anyone wondering what a bioreactor is, it's basically like a container where your experiment or production takes place, and it allows you to maintain certain systems, like you can keep the pH the same, you can feed nutrients into your media, and it allows you to produce your product. And here is some of the research that we have being done in DCU at the moment. So this does include all the research that's being done by the School of Biotechnology. So some of this would be from the genetics side of things. So genomics and bioinformatics and vascular biology and health would apply more so to that department than it would to this course. But you do get a really broad range of knowledge here in DCU. So I would have knowledge in kind of all of these departments. But obviously, as you go on through your degree, you focus more on the stuff that applies to you. So that'd be biopharmacology and bioprocessing engineering for me. And here is a little bit about your future career. So these are the careers that we've seen past pupils go into. So company CEO, engineers, research scientists, regulators, and bioinformaticians are all kind of the big ones that people end up in. I am currently doing the first bullet point we have here. So I'm working in the biopharma industry as a bioprocess engineer. I am currently still doing my onboarding. So currently all I'm really doing is online learnings and safety courses. But once we get into it, I'll be doing what a bioprocessing engineer actually does. And then below are just some of the other ones. So the biggest industries here in Ireland for this kind of career would be the biopharma, or it would be brewing and water and waste treatment. But obviously there's tons of different career paths that you can go off into from these. And then here are some of the places where you can work. So Pfizer, Eli Lilly, Merck MSD, which is where I'm at, Trinity Biotech, Alexion, BMS. Those would be some of the big ones. And obviously these are huge biotechnology companies that are worldwide. They have huge bases here in Ireland. And a lot of these ones here on the list have hired people from DCU into their graduate program, into their internship program. I know myself, I'm with 8 other interns from DCU at MSD. a couple of people gone to Pfizer. There's about 7 gone to Alexion. So we do have really good connections here with some of the top companies in these industries. And Intra, which is what I've been talking about this whole time. So integrated training. It's an internship or cooperative education at DCU, and it is a key DCU experience that we've had for over 36 years. And it's one of the distinctive attributes of a DCU degree. So from January until August, I'm going to be working at MSD as a paid intern, which is a really good note as well that you do get paid for these internships. And I've been put on a team. I'm working in upstream tech ops. And I'm going to be working with people on this team to develop my knowledge, apply what I've learned in the workplace. It's a really incredible experience where you get to go out and you get to see what it's like to work in what you're studying towards. DCU is one of the only colleges where this is mandatory as part of your degree, so it's really, really encouraged to do this, and you get a lot of help in applying for it. We were given interview seminars, like advice for how to do our interviews, CV advice. Our CVs were all reviewed by the intra team here at DCU, so if you've never made a CV before, they'll make sure that it's something that's acceptable to put out there. And like I was saying previously, DCU have a lot of connections with big companies. So the likes of MSD, Pfizer, and BMS, they've reached out to DCU specifically to advertise their internship program because they know that DCU has really good students, really strong students that are able to come out into the workplace and have that kind of practical knowledge and are able to apply it pretty quickly. Additionally, DCU just go out and source other companies that might be looking for internships. So they're constantly trying to make sure that you have something. And so it's a really good facility. Inter-office work really hard all year round trying to make sure that everyone gets a placement. And then here are some of the entry requirements for this course. So you need a minimum of an O3 or a H6 in maths, and then a minimum of an O3 or a H5 in one of physics, chemistry, biology, physics with chemistry, or agricultural science. So in terms of your requirements, it's not too bad of a course to get into. And you're able to do ordinary level for your subjects, which is nice. And we'll say if anyone's worried that they're doing an ordinary level subject and when they come into college that they might find it difficult to catch up, all of the stuff you're taught in first year is really taught from the base level up, which I'll go into more detail of in a bit. Like I said here, it is easier if you do more than one leaving cert subject in science, but a lot of people have only done one and they're able to catch up pretty easily on the other two that they didn't do. There's a lot of resources out there as well to help you catch up with them. So, for example, for physics, I'd never done that before for my leaving cert, and I spent a lot of time in the Maths Learning Center, kind of trying to teach myself how to do some of the equations and stuff involved with the physics, and it was a really helpful experience. The people there were really lovely. There was no, like, this is a really stupid question. Basically, our Maths Learning Center is tutoring that's given to you by other DC students who are in their 3rd and 4th year of intense level maths courses. And really hands-on learning. They have whiteboards so you can draw out diagrams and all that stuff. And they really helped me understand the physics stuff more than I could do in the big lecture halls myself. And then for chemistry, which is the other one that people sometimes do, because I hope everyone who wants to study this course is doing biology at the moment. The professors for chemistry are really good. I had done it for the leaving cert, so I was okay, but they were always offering extra tutorials and stuff for those who were struggling a little bit more before the exams. So everyone does really want you to pass, and they also do understand that some of you might have all the information, all the knowledge that others would have because you didn't do the subjects for the leaving cert. So here, so year one, you do all the programs. Unfortunately, you only do about 25% biology in your first year because you have to do biology, chemistry, physics, and maths. And then if you're doing GCB, you see down here, you have an extra maths course. So if you don't like maths, definitely not GCB, which is our genetics course. In terms of biology, chemistry, and physics, you're going to have lectures and labs for all 3 of those subjects. What I really liked about it first year was how connected our labs and our lectures were. So Monday to Friday, you'll be in lectures, and then Thursday, sorry, Monday to Wednesday you're in lectures, and then Thursday and Friday are your lab days. So what you've learned during the week is what you go and you do practically in the labs. So it kind of helps you understand the labs a bit better. You're reading through the lab manual and you understand what you're supposed to do. But also it helps you understand what you've been learning in the lectures a lot better when you see it and you're practically doing it. And then in terms of maths, it's a year-long module, primarily done online and in person. So you'll have videos and assignments online as well as in-person tutorials. It is mainly just calculus, so differentiation and integration. If you haven't done it before, it really does start from the most basic level. And if you have done higher level maths and you've done differentiation and integration, you'll find the first couple of weeks kind of smooth enough, but it does then tend to get a bit more complicated. So make sure you keep going to all your tutorials and staying on top of the videos for all that. And like I mentioned previously, the Maths Learning Centre is a really great place to go if you're struggling with maths or physics. The physics for first year is primarily maths-based physics, so stuff like gravity and different forces. So they are kind of able to help with that, and they're definitely able to help with the maths. And then these are some of the course codes. So if you want to go directly into biotechnology in first year, you're going to apply to the CAO for DC181. And the points have kind of been around the 520 range for the last couple of years. Hopefully they continue to drop a little. I know 2 points isn't much. But if you think that maybe you won't get this, if you want to go in through our general entry route, which is how I went into the course, it's slightly less points. I believe it's about 510. So close, still pretty similar, but it might be give you the opportunity to get in. The only thing if you go in through general entry is at the end of first year, you pick your three choices out of biotechnology, bioprocessing, and genetics, and it is based on how high you come in the course and the demand for the courses. So if you're sure you want to do biotechnology, make sure you have this as your first choice and then general entry afterwards, because you don't want to have to worry in first year if you're going to get your top choice or not. So why study biotechnology? It is the application of scientific and engineering principles to the processing of materials by biological agents to provide goods and services. So that is really wordy and probably doesn't make a huge amount of sense to a lot of people. Basically, biotechnology is taking microorganisms, so it's taking raw materials of a biological nature. So in chemistry and pharmaceuticals, you're using chemical compounds, so they're not live matter or anything like that. Biotechnology, you're using something that's live, so a biological compound. For example, beer is made using yeast, which is a microorganism. So you're using that biological agent to make a product, basically, and it's doing it on a massive, large scale. So that's where the engineering principles kind of come into that. You can see down here, these tanks, they don't look huge, but they'll go all the way down into the floor underneath that. So those would just be the top of the tanks, and they'd actually be probably 2 or 3 times that size underneath. So some of the things that biotechnologist makes are molecules, cells, drugs, and food. So the biopharmaceutical industry would focus on molecules and drugs, and then the brewing industry would be food. Other brewing products or other food-related products would be yogurts, and any milk, dairy products, anything that needs to be fermented or has a microorganism as part of it would be considered biotechnology. So here's some more different examples, some pretty big ones. So human insulin, obviously really necessary. And the place where I work, MSD, makes an immunotherapy product called Keytruda that's used for 14 different cancers at the moment. So that's a really big one in the world of science. It's helping cure a lot of people. It's also giving like palliative care to a lot of people. You can see there's a couple of other cancer ones as well. That are involved, as well as autoimmune diseases and multiple sclerosis. So there's a lot of products out there for biotechnology. And then here is what the rest of your years are going to look like. So year 2 is pretty broad as well, a lot more biology though, which is good to see. You do biochemistry, microbiology, genetics, bioprocessing engineering, which is a lab-based module, and chemistry, it's organic chemistry. It is a little tough, but once you finish that, you're kind of finished with chemistry, so you just have to persevere if you don't like it. And mathematics. So the maths we do in second year is statistics based. It's both practicing maths, doing equations like you would be doing at the moment. We also learn a bit of coding with that. So we learn how to make graphs and different ways of comparing our data using the coding language OR. It's a pretty interesting module, and you get to see kind of how you can present data in different ways than what you've probably previously done. And then in year 3, which is where I'm at the moment, advanced biology, bioprocessing engineering. Bioprocessing engineering is a lab again this year. Analytical microbiology, also a lab. Genetics, cell culture, bioreactors, separation processes, commercial biotechnology, and intra, which is where I'm at the moment. So it is pretty busy year 3 first semester, because obviously that's when you do all your learning, because from January onwards you're going to be out in placement, but they do have a lot of understanding that you're kind of cramming in a lot. So it's not too bad schedule wise. I would say second year is probably the toughest year in terms of schedule. Um, but it is all really interesting stuff, and it's nice to be specializing in what you actually want to study after first year, where you're doing all 3 sciences and maths. And then year 4, we have a couple of different 2 options of what you can do. So you do integration of biology and engineering, protein biotechnology, industrial bioprocessing, bioreaction engineering. All of those you have to do, but then for your second half of the year, you can do a research project. So that's where you'll be working with one of the professors here in the School of Biotechnology on a project, for maybe a smaller project for the wider research that they're doing, or maybe working with one of their PhD students to help with a little bit of research that they're doing. Or you can do a specialized biopharma stream, which is where you do extra modules instead of doing the research project. The biopharma stream is new enough, I think, the last 3 or 4 years. And it's definitely getting a lot more popular, as the biopharma industry is really massive here in Ireland. So a lot of people want to go into that. So they want to get as much experience as they can in the biopharma stream. And that's one good thing about DCU, is that they're looking at the industry and they're seeing what their students need to get into that industry, and they're looking to provide it the best way they can. And what's really important is that, like, labs we do, we have at least 2 labs basically every semester, and it gives you really hands-on experience. So when you go out into the workforce, you kind of know what you're doing for some aspects already. We definitely have a lot more labs than some other biology courses would have around the country, and that with Intra kind of gives you a little bit of an extra edge on other people when you're graduating, and looking for a job, because they know that you have the experience that they're looking for. And then here is a little overview of everything that you're doing over the 4 years, and it just shows you the different modules that you do if you do the biopharma stream. And this can be found if you look up Biotechnology DCU. You can go through all the different years and have a lot more detail on the different modules. I really recommend. I did it when I was in first year, when I was in sixth year, going through all the modules for the courses that you're thinking about. Even if it doesn't really make sense what the modules are about, kind of trying to think, is this something I'd enjoy? Do I want to study this? And that kind of helped me make my choices and how I was ranking the different courses. Okay, so here are some of the careers and employers. So a lot of different things there. We see like people are working in so many different industries, lecturers, managers, consultants, engineers, validation, professors. So there's a huge amount of career paths that people are going into. These are all people who have done biotechnology at some point or the other. So it's good to see there is a lot of future with this course. And then this here is from the graduating class of 2023. So you can see a couple of people working on Pfizer, for Bristol Myers Squibb, which is BMS, MSD, which is where I'm at the moment. And this is just everyone who's responded. So there was a lot more people in the graduating class of 2023, just in case anyone's looking at that thinking, oh my God, how many people dropped out by the time they got to 4th year? There's usually about 30 to 40 in every year group. So, and it kind of maintains that way throughout the years. Perfect. So I'm going to come back over now and see if there's any questions. I hope everyone enjoyed the presentation. So if anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask, please feel free to pop them into the chat now. So the course is definitely primarily biology. Um, First year and a little bit of second year, you do have chemistry. So first year you do general chemistry, really broad range of everything that you learn. Second year you have organic chemistry and biochemistry. Biochemistry is a lot more biology related, but it's basically all the chemistry that happens inside you. So when you breathe in, how that oxygen is turned in, goes through your bloodstream, or when you eat, what happens to that glucose, that'd be biochemistry. But after that, it is basically just biology. But it is really good to have that kind of chemistry background because it helps you then kind of when you're going into your future careers if you end up working in other industries that kind of have a bit of both. But yeah, definitely primarily biology. No problem. Okay, if anyone has any questions that they didn't want to ask in the chat, feel free to contact me on Unibuddy at any point. Um, I usually answer the questions pretty quickly, so feel free to ask if you have anything. I don't mind answering, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening.